Okay, good morning, good morning. Good to have you here this beautiful day. I know we are indoors, but that's okay. See, I'm even rhyming. Okay. So last day of week 12. We're gonna continue from where we stopped yesterday. Okay, so yesterday we had our first contact with test-driven development. Okay, so today we're gonna wrap things up with a few more examples, a few more test scenarios, and we're gonna do some nearpods. Okay, so we have two nearpods to do. We're gonna start with one to recap some of the things that we saw yesterday, and we're gonna, after the first nearpod, you're gonna do a few more topics here that I'll demonstrate. Then we're gonna do another nearpod, and then we're gonna jump to a hands-on exercise. Okay, okay, so here's where I would like you to open nearpod. Can you please load nearpod? We're gonna start with a quick recap of what we saw yesterday about test-driven development via a quiz, a nearpod quiz. Okay, so please open nearpods. I'm gonna open here the quick presentation that I had. So we have stopped right here. Yep, we have discussed the fact that test methods, they don't have, as you can see here, test methods, three aspects of test methods. They have to be public, void, and no arguments. Okay, we have discussed a little bit about the three sections that we have to have inside test methods. We have the arrange, when we set the values, we have the act, when we call the method that we want to test, and we have the assert area where we check if what we expect matches with what has returned from the method. Okay, so just to reconnect with that, I'm gonna load a nearpod. So test-driven development, we're gonna go to this set here. Please, let's give this a try. Here's the code. I'm going to copy the link to GoToMeeting as well, and to Padlet too. Okay, so on Padlet, on GoToMeeting chat, and you can just give this a try for questions. Just to recap what we saw yesterday. Okay, so let's give it a few minutes here. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So first question here. The testing framework available out of the box on Visual Studio is called, which one? MS Test. Yes, so NUnit is a valid framework. It exists. XUnit as well. MyUnit does not. And MS Test is the one that comes with Visual Studio out of the box. You don't have to install anything else. Okay, so that's MS Test. Second one here, just recap the 3 actions in order of how they should be implemented that each test method has to perform are which one, which options, which sections we have to implement. We have to arrange the variables, we have to act on the methods, and we have to assert if the expected value matches the actual value. Okay, so we have letter D. Okay, option D. B is out of order. Okay, this one is slightly tricky, but let's see. When adding a new test project to Visual Studio, so to a Visual Studio solution, you have to select which option there. So the other ones, .NET Core, we are not using them. Very easy to get confused with MS Test. Unit Test Project and MS Test, they are both using MS Test. But Unit Test Project .NET Framework is the one that we're using because we are not using .NET Core, we are using .NET Framework, okay? Talking about .NET Core, if you are planning to take web application development, which is comp223 next semester, I'll be teaching summertime, I'll be teaching 3 sections of comp223. So I would welcome any one of you in my class next semester, okay? So comp223, summer semester, I'll be teaching 3 sections of that. Just a side note. And why am I saying that? Is because in that course, I cover .NET Core and web application development. So I really like that. Not that I don't like this one, but I really like web application development because you're gonna see things, you know, very practical, you know, in a way, because what we cover in this course is the fundamentals, but there you're gonna see things very practical, very web application development driven. Programming 3, no, Wahida, I won't be teaching programming 3, just programming 2. I have 2 sections, and so if you want to take programming 2 again with me, you can, okay, but not programming 3. And web application development, yes, comp223. Okay, this is the one, and the next one here, last one. What is an example of a valid test method declaration? So which one? The 3 requirements. It must be public, must return void, must not have arguments, parameters. The only one that fits the bill is the last one. The first one has a parameter, the second one has a type as the return type, and the third one, C, it's not public. Okay, so B here. Great. Awesome. So let me close this one. I'm gonna leave this one open because we're gonna go back later. And now let's carry on with the wrap up of the test-driven development. I'm gonna implement 2 more test methods because I want to demonstrate a few more things here. And after that, I'm gonna cover 2 more topics. But let's start here. So, what are the other tests that we can do, we should do? Let's look here. Let me ask you this. What will happen? Fabio, you can use those questions next week, Chris. Well, maybe I'll be using a combination. For sure, I'll be extracting things from this for the quiz, okay? So, in our divide methods that you can see in front of you right now, what will happen if I send 0 as the denominator? What will happen? Give me some feedback there. What will happen if I send a 0? Sali, exception. Yes, it's gonna throw an exception. Okay, so I'm gonna make a statement here, and you're gonna tell me if this is correct or not. Can I say that if I send 0 in the denominator, I expect an exception? Can I say that if I set the denominator to 0, I'm going to get an exception? Is it a valid expectation? It is. It is. I'm expecting that if I set the denominator to 0, I'm going to get an exception. And that's fine. That's fine because whoever is calling divide should be the ones handling exceptions, okay? For instance, in our form codes, actually, I used this yesterday, so I should have divide inside a try-catch block, okay? So, I'm gonna say this again. I expect that if I set the denominator to 0, I'm gonna get an exception. Now, the test-driven approach, unit tests, is all about checking your expectations against reality. In our first method, we did that. We expected 2, and we got 2. And that's why we get a green pass. The next method, the next test method that we're going to be implementing, we're going to be testing if I send a denominator 0, if that will create an exception. So in our tests, we can not only test return values, but we can test if we are expecting an exception to happen as well. Okay? Yes, I'm recording, Wahida. Yep, I'm recording and I'll be publishing. I did not publish the one yesterday yet, but between today and tomorrow, I'll be publishing both of them. Okay? So, as I'm saying, I can not only test return values from methods, but I can also test whether the method is throwing an exception or not. How do I do that? Well, let's start a brand new method here. So each test method will test a scenario. If you want to test another scenario, you're going to create another test method. Okay? So each test method tests one case, one scenario, not multiple, only one. Okay? So I'm gonna say test method, that's my second one. I'm gonna call this public. This is a public method, a void. Now we're gonna name it. We know that the name of a test method has 3 parts. The first one, the name of the method that we are testing. The second one is the one that we give some clues about the types of the values or the types of parameters that we are sending in the method. Okay, so how would you recommend that I name this? Think about what is the parameter that we are trying to send here. We are trying to, what is the parameter that we're going to send as the denominator? 0. So, what do you think that could be a good name for this middle part here of our method name, of our test method name? What could be a good name here? Anyone in the chat? Okay, great. Sanchit, you were very precise here, very specific. I like that. Okay, so divide. Then we could put 0, but we can try to be a little bit more specific. Is that 0 for the numerator or the denominator? So we may say 0, may say denominator 0 or 0 denominator. And then as the last part, we can talk about what is it that we expect to happen. In this case, we don't expect a number back. In this case, we expect an exception, exactly, Sanchit. So I can say exception here. So just recap, method name, what is it that we are giving to the method, and what is it that we are expecting that will happen. In this case, an exception. Okay, so I'm going to close this. Now we're going to use the same 3 blocks that we had before. I'm just going to copy this and just to save me some from typing. Numerator, I can keep 20. Denominator is the key here. Denominator, I'm going to send a 0. Okay? Now, let me ask you this. Am I expecting a value back? Am I expecting any result back? I'm not expecting a result. I'm expecting, yes, Tom, okay, I'm not expecting a result, okay? I'm expecting an exception. So, act, I'm going to keep it like this. However, because I'm not expecting any actual value, I could just plain and simply, I could say this, okay? I could just call the methods, but we can keep it, no problem. But again, we won't be using this actual here because we don't expect anything back from the methods. And because we don't expect anything back from the methods, our assert section won't have anything. Because our assert is only, to be honest, it's only used when we expect value or values coming back from the method. So here, I'm going to keep our assert empty. But then you may ask, okay, Anderson, but how is it checking whether or not it's triggering an exception? How is it doing that? Well, there's still one step that we have to do to finish this. We have to somehow here, somewhere, we have to specify what is the exception that I'm expecting to happen. If the exception that I'm expecting to happen matches the exception that is being triggered, okay? The way we do that, it's in a slightly different way. It's not in the assert section here. We're gonna be doing that in our test method, in our annotations, okay? So in our annotations here, we're gonna add a new annotation that is called expected exception. So you're gonna say, we expect this method to trigger this exception, okay? And then we have to pass as a parameter the type of that exception, okay? So we're gonna use this function called type of And then I'm gonna say divide by zero exception. So expected exception accepts a type, as you can see here, type of exception, and we call the type of methods to return the type of whatever class, whatever exception class we put here. So we expect a divide by zero. Okay? We don't expect a value, we expect an error. Can you imagine that? We are expecting an error. Yes, that's true. We are expecting an exception here. And here is how you go about testing that if the exception is a match to what you expect. Okay? So just think about this. Test methods, it's all about testing what you expect against what really happened. It's all about that. If it's a match, the test passed. If it's not a match, test failed. Okay? Look, we see the exclamation mark. It means that the test has not run yet. Let's run this and click the play button, the run button. Let's have a look. And here we have, it passed. Okay, all good here. And okay, is divide exception built in? Yes. So this is the class of exception that will get created whenever we have a division by zero. Okay, so yes, it's a built-in. We will only be using built-in exceptions in this course. Okay, we can create our own exceptions, define our own exceptions, but we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be using existing exceptions and throwing existing exceptions as well. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we tested, it passed because it's throwing an exception. Now let's try one thing here. What could I do here to avoid this exception? If I send a zero, what could I change here that would no longer trigger an exception in this code? Because I want to break our test there, just to demonstrate. What should I change here to not make this code trigger an exception? Any suggestions? Anything? I'm gonna give you one here. So what if we test whether or not denominator is zero and we do something different? That's it, Ravi. So we could do not necessarily less than or equal to, but we could do something like this. If denominator is equal to zero, let's return zero. Else, let's return the division. So by doing this, if we provide a zero as denominator, it will no longer trigger an exception. Do you agree with me? It's no longer going to trigger that. Let's run our test once again. Remember, I'm sending the denominator 0, but it will no longer give an exception. So let's see this. Run everything here. Look, now divide denominator 0 exception is no longer working. It's failing. This test is failing because this test, which is expecting divide by 0 exception, it's no longer triggering an exception. Okay? So what I'm expecting is not matching what is happening. What is happening is that no exception. What I expected was an exception. Okay? So it's not a match anymore. That's the reason why the test fails. It's a mind twisting. That's okay. There is no exception there, and now my test is failing. Yes, because as I said, it's all about matching the expectation with the actual. Okay? Expectation. I expected an exception. Actual. No exception. It works fine. Not a match, the test fails. Okay? Is that understood? Is that making sense? I have Padlet open here as well, so you may ask on Padlet. Okay? Okay, great. So I'm going to revert that. I'm going to just comment this out. I'm going to keep it as it was before. And I'm going to run this again and just confirm that everything is okay. And we're going to add a third and last test here. Okay. As you see, this method divide is very simple. Okay, very simple, not very complicated. Let's say that I want to implement a rule where I will not accept a situation where the numerator is less than the denominator. I always want the numerator, which is the upper part, to be greater than the denominator. If it's not, if the denominator is greater, I want to trigger an exception. Remember, when we saw exception handling, we saw that we can also throw exceptions. So if the code meets a certain condition, I may want to throw an exception. Okay? I may want to throw, hey, I don't want those numbers here. Maybe we're talking about negative numbers. Maybe your methods, you don't want to accept negative numbers. Whatever the situation is, whatever the conditions are, you may want to trigger your own exception. And we can do this here. For example, we can say if numerator is less than denominator, throw a new exception. And I'm going to give it a name. Not a name, sorry, a message. I'm going to say denominator cannot be greater than the numerator. Okay? So, you may ask, why are you doing this, Edison? Well, because I wanted to implement this rule. The divide method is my method, and I will implement any rules I want there. No, I'm joking. So, I'm implementing this because, as I said, there might be situations that you want to tell whoever is calling this method that the parameters that were sent to it, they are not acceptable. In certain conditions, they are not acceptable. It might be that you don't want to accept a negative number, a number too big, a number too small, or like this. I don't want to accept when you send me a denominator that is greater than a numerator. I want to throw an exception. Okay? So you can say that, and then now we have the need to create yet another test case. Okay? So we're gonna create our last test case here. And you're gonna say test methods, public, void, the name of the methods. Then we have to think, what is the situation this time around? Well, the situation is the denominator is greater than numerator. Now, you can make this a huge phrase, you can make this smaller. I'll leave it up to you. As long as you make it something a little descriptive, I can very easily say greater denominator. I can say denominator greater than numerator. I can make this long, I can make this shorter. As long as you put something there that gives us an idea of, okay, what is it that they are testing here? Oh, that's when the denominator is greater than the numerator, okay? And then, in the end, I say, what is it that I expect to happen or to return? In this case, I don't expect to return a value. I expect to trigger an exception, okay? So, okay, can I use greater than for the name? Do you mean the symbol greater than? If you're asking about the symbol, you cannot. I don't think that you can. No, you cannot use that. See. Yeah, this is invalid. So the names should only have characters and digits, and I don't think that it can start with a digit. Okay, it has to start with a character, with an alphabetic character. Okay, great. So the last part, I expect to happen an exception again. So I'm gonna say exception, and I'm gonna call this. Okay, so divide, greater denominator, expect an exception. I'm gonna use the same format as I did before. What could be the denominator here? Come on, anyone? Give me a denominator there. Yeah, anything that is greater than 20. Okay, so it could be 30. And then let's see what happens. Now, we are missing something here. What is it that we're missing? We're almost done, but we're missing one step. If we compare this to the previous one, we're missing the annotation. Yes. I was trying to figure out what the what is annotation? Yes, annotation. So we are assert. Remember, Tomoki, as we did with the second test method, the assert section, we won't have anything here because we're gonna do the assertion by flagging as an annotation here. Now, the type of our error is not a divide by zero, but it is just an exception, a general exception, okay? So we're gonna say type of exception. If we keep this divide by zero exception, let's give this a try. Look, it tells me that there's an error because, look, test method through exception, but exception divide by zero was expected. So even though there was an exception, but it's not the same exception, it's expecting a different exception, okay? So I have to say exactly which exception I'm expecting there. And if I try this again, we should be okay. Great. So all three are green. Okay. Let's have a look here. Perfect. Any questions? Any questions so far? We are almost done here. Two little topics that we still have to cover, but they are quick ones. Any questions? Okay, so to wrap things up, I'm going to talk about a way that you can classify tests, that you can classify test methods. Look at this. With just one method, which is this divide method, we wrote, and it's a very simple method, very simple. nothing too fancy here. But with only one single method, we wrote 3 test methods. We wrote 3 of them. Can you imagine in a more complicated system, in a large application, how many test cases we're gonna have? We're gonna have a lot, quite a lot. So there are ways that you can classify, categorize the different test methods that you create to help you find them, to help you sort them, to help you filter them, okay? We can do that by 2 variables or 2 conditions. We can set an owner for each method, and we can set a category as well. So there's an owner and there's a category. We're gonna have a look at how we can set both of them. So let's start with the owner. If I go here to my first method, I can say something, I can annotate and do something like this. I can say owner, and in parentheses, I can put the owner name. Now, the name, should it be a developer name, the name of a person? I don't know, it's really up to the organization. I think that the owner is more geared towards maybe a department that owns this, that this test method is related to. Okay, you could put a name of someone, but I think it's more applicable to put a department or something like that. So I'm gonna use department as an example. I'm gonna say that this particular test case is geared towards helping the accounting department. And the other ones, they are more sales related. Okay? And the last one as well. Okay? So we give owners to each one of those 3 methods. Okay? Edson, what's the point of doing that? Let's have a look. I just saved it. I'm gonna run the test again. Okay, and if you look here under the traits column, now you see the owner flag here as well. Owner sales, owner accounting, owner sales. Now what I can do is I can filter this list by, okay, I only want to see sales, so I'm gonna check accounting. So I only see 2. Okay, I want to see only accounting. It filters for accounting. Okay, so I can use this to filter this better. I think that you can even group them together as well. Let me have a look here. Traits. Yeah. So let me see this. Look, you can even group them together. I want to see a different grouping, a group by traits. So now I can see the accounting tests and the sales tests. Okay? Just different ways to classify them, to organize them. And I can go back there. I can go project namespace and class. That's the way it was originally. Okay? But you can regroup them the way you want. Okay? Any questions here about owner? Seems to be very straightforward. Just another annotation. Okay? Okay, next one here. Next one is another annotation, but this time, this one is called test category. So you're gonna say test category. And we give it a name as well. Now, you can have different categories meaning different things. You can use a category hierarchy as of importance, less important, important, very important, not important, okay? So you can flag as that as well. So I'm gonna say that this one is very important. It's a very important test scenario. I can flag the other ones as well. I can say that this one is less important. And I can say that the last one is just important. Okay? And you can have, of course, you can say that this one is very important as well. So they would be grouped together. But you can vary this as much as you'd like. If we compile this, if we run this again, it's gonna pick up those changes. So I'm gonna say run the tests. So now look at the traits. Now we not only see the owner, but we see important, very important, less important. The same way I can filter them. I only want to see the important ones. Okay, here's the important one. Okay. I want to see the important one and the less important. Okay, so here they are. I want to group them. I'm going to group them by traits. So if I have a look there, sorry, right here. So important, less important. If I filter them again, I'm going to select everything. So I can refresh this. I'm going to regroup. And I think this is buggy. Let's see here. Oh no, I unselected everything. So here are the traits. So important, owner, very important, less important. And it goes like that. Okay, so just a simple way that you can classify your test scenarios, your test methods by owner and by category. Okay, just going back here to the original organization. Again, any questions about that? Anything there? Category is greater than owner. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Vin. Are you talking about more important than owner? Actually, not. I would say that they are independent from each other. Vin, because look at this. If I organize by traits, I see important, very important, less important, owner accounting, owner sales here. So it's not about containing one or the other. They are just two different ways to classify them. Okay, you classify them by owner or by category. It's not that one is under the other one. Okay, you can combine them. You can say I want to see all sales and all less important. All test cases that are sales related look like this. I'm going to go to the grouping as it was before. I'm just going to expand this. And I can say, I can filter. I want to see, let's say, the important ones that are owned by sales. So let's see here. Sorry, this is an aggregation. So it's gonna show all important. I said import. Sorry about that. It's supposed to be important, okay, not import. I'll fix that in a second. So if we select both of them, it will combine. Select the important ones and the sales one. It's not it's a union, not an intersection. Okay, so I wouldn't think about containing one or the other. Okay, I would think about them as independent classifications. Okay, make sense, Vin? I'm not sure. So this is less important. Okay, just fix this for a second here. Important. Okay, and I'm gonna, anytime you change those things, you should rerun so it gets updated. And yes, we should see everything there. And repaste. Oh, good. Let's see here. Okay, great. Okay, any questions? Any questions, any concerns? So let's do this. Let's see here on Padlet. Let's do this. Let's run another Nearpod. Then we go for a break. Then we come back and we jump to the exercise. But let's do another Nearpod there. So can you please open Nearpod? And we're gonna go through second and last quiz here. Okay, so here's the codes, and here is the link on both GoToMeeting and Padlet. Okay, so give it a try. 4 questions. Okay, let's have a look at this. Okay, so here we go. If a test fails, it means that your code has a compilation error. Is that correct? Yes or no? True or false? Correct. It's false. It's false because when we have a failed test, it means, what does it actually, let me ask you this. What does it mean to have a failed test? What do we understand by a failed test? A runtime exception? Not really. John, yes, it's a logic error. Vin, it's not meeting the expectations. It's a logical error. Fabio, you're not getting what you expect. Correct. So whenever you are not getting what you expect in your code, you have a logic error. You did something there that broke the code, and it was usually a logical error. You didn't expect something to happen, and it happened. It might be an exception. It might be just the wrong results, the wrong math that you put there. Okay? Good. I like that. Okay, so yes, it's false. Failed test is not a compilation error. It's a logic error. How do you decorate? And when I say annotation, you can also think about decoration. Annotation and decoration, they are the same thing. They are used intertwined. Decoration, annotation, same thing. So how do you decorate a test class and a test method respectively? Well, give it to me. Come on. Which one? B. Yes, so there's no validate class, no category class, no tested class. We have test class and test methods, okay? Okay, check all valid examples of available decorations or annotations for test methods. Which one? Which ones? A and B. Let's go through it. Test methods? Yes, we have the test methods. Expected exception, type of exception. We just saw that. We implemented that in our third test methods, okay? All of them, Fab. Yeah, that's all of them. Owner, we can put an owner. Test category, we can put a test category there as well, okay? So all of them are correct. All of them are available and valid test annotations, okay? Any questions about that? As I said, even though I don't recommend to put owner as the name of a person, but it can. You can put, it's valid. It's a valid way, okay? Next one here, last one. The assert class has a collection of helper methods to test various conditions within unit tests. If the condition being tested is not met, an exception is thrown. All methods below are available from the assert class, except which one? You can go to the code, you can put the assert class dot, you can have a look there, okay? So we have are equal is false, are not equal, are same, fail, and is null. Those 6 are correct, but we don't have is truthful nor is not nullable. We don't have those, okay? Completely fake here. Submit, and we are done. So let's see how we have done here. Okay, so I hope that for the ones that got them wrong, I hope that it's clear. Yeah, I think so, Brandon. Truthful. I think that you have some, maybe there's a misspell here, but I think that you have truthful, don't you? I don't know. I'm gonna check that, Brandon. Truthful. Yes. Good. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go for our break, our 5 minutes break. Once we come back, we're gonna start the exercise. Okay? So go for it. Grab some water. Refill your water. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, so just a quick confirmation that you can hear me. Okay, awesome. Good. So now what is it that you're gonna be doing? So if you go to Centennial under week 12, so under week 12, we have this exercise here, programming exercises 14. By the way, the calculator example, the source code is right here, okay? So calculator example Windows, all code is here. So you can download that and use that as a reference point. So the exercise is this one, programming exercises 14. Open that one. And then what we have here is this. You're gonna be creating a class called bank account. This bank account will have a constructor, 2 methods, 1 deposit, 1 withdraw. Deposit should do, well, add to the balance. Withdraw should take out of the balance. And what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be implementing this interface. So use, of course, Windows here. Name the labels properly, the radio buttons properly, the text box and the button as well. So put proper names. Actually, yeah, see the form. There is a suggestion here for the name of the form. There is some sample code that you should be using. You're going to be implementing the deposit, withdraw. You're going to be using a try-catch block there. And then you, as the third step here, you're going to be creating a bank app tests project that will have 5 test methods. 2 of them are described here and 3 of them here with their names are here as well, what you should be testing, and you have to implement that. okay? So this will most likely take you over an hour to do it, but you get it going right now and you take it home if you're not done. And the idea is that the next section, the next part of our day is for you to do this and leverage me. Just because I cannot walk around looking what you're doing, it doesn't mean that you cannot ask me questions. I have Slack open as well. Actually, I'm gonna open it right now, because sometimes we want to share a screenshot. So it's Slack works a little bit better. It's faster to do this kind of chat. If you need me to look at anything in your environment, the other day a student asked me to share the screen. So I gave him access to share his screen. He shared his screen. I looked through the code. We were able to work together on that. Okay, so we can do that as well. Okay, if you need me to look at something in your code, I can do that. You can share your screen with me, and I can have a look at your code there, as I would do in class. Of course, it's not exactly the same dynamic, of course, but that's the second best thing that we can do. Okay, so use this time well. If you want to practice for the test, this is it. This is a practice. You're gonna be putting together a Windows application, name your components properly, create the events that are necessary, put the code there. That's a practice. I mean, this, what we're doing right now, is a big practice for the test. Okay. Before I let you go for the exercise, just want to highlight that next week on our second class, next week we don't have class on Friday, April 10th. So Friday, April 10th is a holiday. It's Eastern Friday. Okay, so we don't have class that day. So our quiz number 5 will be done on the 9th, on Thursday the 9th, okay? And the quiz, the topics for the quiz are graphical user interface, GUI, and test-driven development. Both of them, okay? Graphical user interface and test-driven development. That's our quiz number 5, last one. During last week, I should get done grading assignment 3. And remember that the due date for assignment 4 is next Friday. You can also use this time right now if you want to ask me questions about assignment 4, if there's anything there that I can help you with, but use this time. Use this time well. Nothing better than using, because sometimes I give exercise and you guys don't do it in your spare time there. So if you are here already, you might as well just practice this. Okay, so I'll be around. I'll take a quick attendance. The words are not coming out today. So I'm taking attendance right now. Yep, and let's do that. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna check with the list here on GoToMeeting. So Ahmad, you are here. If you hear your name, just say hi, hey, I'm here on the chat. Amanpreet is here as well. Anu is here. Brandon is here. Kai is here. Caller 6, I don't know who caller 6 is. Oh, sorry, caller 01. Danny Fu doesn't seem to be here. Okay, Fabio, you're here. Jayton, let's see. Yes, you're here. Jay, you're here. Jantu, you're here. John, you're here as well. Luana Chu. Lufu Liao, yes, you're here. Manpreet, I don't see you. Manpreet, I do not see you. Marvin, you are around. Matt, you are not. Mukahit, you are around. Raul, you're around. Ravi, you too. Okay, Ricky, you are not around. I think it seems. Kai, yeah, Kai, I put yours, Kai. Ritesh, I don't see you there. Okay. Sali, I saw Sali. Sampath is there. Sanshit is there as well. Ismiruf, yeah, you're there. Steven there. Okay. Tenjinder, I don't see you. Theory, you're there. Tomoki, you're there. Finn, you're there. Wahida too. Inu, you're there as well. Eugene, you're there too. I saw. Yep. Okay. And Zangier, I don't see you there. Okay, perfect. So great. I see some questions here. So Tomoki, can this exercise be console app? Sorry to ask you again. Console app. Okay, here's the thing. You have to practice the Windows part, Tomoki. So use the VM there, because otherwise you're gonna miss a big chunk of the exercise. Okay. Okay, so I have a question here about assignments, but it's a private one. Let me see. Okay, Jaden, I assume that my voice is also a bit robotic right now. Yeah, so I guess that's the, I get it. Okay, I'm going to disconnect the mic and reconnect again. This will always happen here and there. Okay, so let me do that. Smurf, I did the tennis. I saw your name, so I put your presence there. Okay? No problem. I did yours as well, Wahida. If you were on the chat, on the list of people connected, I put your presence. Just checking here. Anyone with having any problems? Anyone stuck here with any particular aspect of the exercise? Use the time that I'm here with you, just fully available. We can share screens. Okay. There are lots of different ways that I can check what you are doing if you would like me to do that, okay? Okay, so let me have a look at that, Brandon. So the account and transaction section. So I assume that you're asking which control is this one that groups them together. Well, this is a group box, okay? So we have on Visual Studio, just gonna get a new project here quickly. No, it's me, Ruth. Quiz 5 is not today. Quiz 5 is next class on the 9th of April, okay? And it will include GUI and test-driven development. No problem. Okay, so Brandon, I'm just creating a new application here just to show you that. So the control is this one. If you go to the toolbox, group box, this is the one. If you type group box, this is the one. It has a text property. Can you guys hear me? Because my computer just quickly froze here and maybe my voice changed as well. So let me know if you hear the robotic voice. Okay, Brandon, so this is it. This is the group box, and you can change the title here. And you can change the font as well. The method, no, Fabio, the method does not have to be static. No, it does not. But if it's not static, just open the previous one here. 1 second. So if the method, Fabio, is not static, you have to create an object of that class before you can call the method, okay? That's the only difference. Here, I'm calling the class directly, but then if divide was a non-static method, I would have to say something like this. Simple calculator calc equals to new simple calculator. And then I would have to use simple calc and call the method from here. Oh, sorry. Okay. I was just saying that no, the method does not have to be static, okay? If the method is not static, you have to declare an object of that type. You have to create the object, and then you have to call whatever methods you need to call, okay? So you can test both of them, but if it's not static, you have to declare an object first before you can call the methods. Does that make sense, Fabio? No problem. Eugene, do you have any questions? I see some question marks there. Okay, again, let me know if there is any questions there. We are just doing the exercise, okay? So this is it. Okay, Fabio, I'm checking your code here, okay? That's exactly it. That's it. Yep. You are just fine. No problem, Eugene. Yeah, Fabio, it's okay. The code is good. You can share that, Fabio, if you want to. You can share with the class as well. Up to you. In terms of solution for this exercise, I'll be providing that on Centennial. I will be uploading the solution file either tomorrow or Monday. The recordings of this class and previous class will be available between today and tomorrow. I'll try hard to do it today, but I have another section that I have to do 4 hours in a little bit, so I may not be able to do that right away. Any questions, anything that anyone wants to ask? Because at this point we're gonna have the class on the 9th next week, and again the quiz will go together with that class. In our second half of the class, at the end of the class, we're gonna do the quiz at the last 20 minutes. So again, GUI and test-driven development. From now till there, as I publish the result, the solution for this exercise, if you have any questions, any doubts, get back to me via email. Brandon, will Problem have questions next week on this? Yes. That's fine. That's great, Brandon. So again, come back to me in our next class. I will give time for any one of you to ask me questions during next class as well about this exercise, okay? But if from now until then, if you have questions already, send me via email, send me via Slack, send me a smoke signal, anything. But don't sleep with the errors, with being stuck, okay? I'm here to help you, regardless if I'm during class or off hours, okay? That's it. More exercise before the quiz? No, Fabio. This is the exercise. This is the one exercise that involves both topics, test-driven development, and now I still have to plan what you're gonna be doing in our first half of next week, okay? Most likely it won't be a new topic. It will most likely be a combination of some additional exercises, but next week during next class, okay? Next week we only have one class before the midterm, so there's no new content that we're gonna be covering. It's more of, let's practice this more, So, does it make sense? Quiz-wise, we have 2 practices of quiz today. Quiz will involve some of those questions, will involve, as you practice like in an exercise like this, you are getting ready for a quiz as well, because the quiz will involve things around unit tests that we have done plenty of stuff, and Windows and GUI as well. Okay, so hope it makes sense. Okay, Fabio, have a good one. Everyone, have a good one. I'll stick around for a few more minutes if you need anything, but have a great weekend. I guess that every single instructor is saying that, but keep yourself safe, with everything that is going on, and take care. Take good care of yourself.